Hi, this is Damian Keller, and I'm with Linda Gray, and this is one of our legacy member showcases here at BAPTA. Linda, how long have you been a BAPTA member?
Oh, over 20 years.
And at one time you've served on the board, you were the president, is that right?
I was the president for 2 terms, I think it was 91 and 92.
Wow, okay. But tell us, how did you even get into the travel management business? Tell us about that.
Well, interestingly enough, I started out to be a physical education teacher, and it was a recession time and they weren't hiring teachers, much like today.
Oh, interesting.
And so I went in, got involved in travel. So I went into the airline business for a while. I worked for commuter airlines, and right at deregulation when all the Braniffs and all the new airlines were starting up, and then that company ultimately filed Chapter 11, and then I got into the travel agency side of business. And through that, I saw in the business travel news many years ago a picture of an organization called the National Passenger Traffic Association, which is now NBTA. And I read this article about the group of people and what they did, and I just decided I wanted to do that. So within about a year, I had got myself into a travel management position and began my journey.
Neat. Oh, that's great. And so on that journey, has there been any challenges that you've encountered that you wouldn't mind sharing? You can change the names. Anything kind of wisdom you want to share?
Well, in this business, while we all work for different companies, we all have the same challenges. They just come at different times. I think my biggest challenge, though, has been projects that have been assigned to me, such as, go find an automated expense reporting system, and that's kind of that's the project that you're given without any. What are our objectives? Who's involved on this team? What is your expectation? What's the company's expectation of this?
Do you think it's because it's so new? All this technology is relatively new, or?
No, I just think it's one of those things where for the person who's assigning that to me, it's not a priority for him, but it's something that somebody has given him and told him that he needs to see that it happens.
Right.
So he just gave it to me. And it was a particular situation where we had a group, our sales force, who were using an online booking tool, or an online expense reporting tool then, but the rest of the organization wasn't. And to try and put them all together on one system was very challenging. In other words, we selected something that they weren't using,
right.
They wouldn't buy in.
Right.
And so we had SAP, and so I got together a team, and we went down the path of looking at what it is we already have that we could use in-house, but using SAP for expense reporting is very, very expensive, we found out. So we brought in some other suppliers, and the supplier that our sales folks were using was one of the suppliers we brought in. And ultimately, we selected them because the sales folks were already on that system, and so we didn't have to create buy-in for them. And it ended up overall being a very successful rollout. We had good implementation, but it was challenging in the fact that it was a project that was given to me without a lot of guidance, so I had to get with other people and create the objectives and find out how we would fit it in the organization.
Yeah.
Another probably my other biggest challenge was when I was asked to, after an acquisition, I was asked to change agencies. And when you have an on-site and you have people that are integrated into your in-house systems, and you change from one agency to another, plus you're a different company than you were when you first had this agency integrated with yours, that it became a huge project. So I had to have an IT project manager. I had 3 members from IT that were involved in the project. In my mind, it was much more of an IT project than a travel project, because they access to your intranet, and they have GDS systems that have to run in your office space, and so that's one facet of that particular challenge. The other facet was we had just been acquired by another company, so everything was in chaos. Everybody's systems were changing. How you did your time record, which was changing. You might have a new manager. Some people were let go. So a lot of turmoil going on, as with most acquisitions. And so I was told, by the way, we want it to cost less, and we don't want you to cause any interruption to anybody's travel. Mm-hmm. We don't want any complaints. And you're changing agencies, you're changing GDS systems. So your tickets you're done on this day, and they can't be applied to the new agency. So there was a lot of huge challenges, and working very closely with the agency and having a project manager, and just kind of making sure that we crossed all our I's and dotted all our T's and communicated. We were able to roll out the new agency and keep people satisfied. So management didn't get any complaints. There certainly were lots of things going on that were problems, but it didn't interrupt anybody's travel or anything. We were able to manage through anybody's travel who had problems. Right. But that's a huge project.
I can only imagine. That sounds overwhelming. On lots of different levels. Just kind of looking forward then, challenges, possibilities of travel management company as managed travel in the future. Do you have any kind of insight, or what do you think of the future of managed travel?
Well, I think one of the foremost things is, regardless of whether companies go back to traveling, where they were before, or whether they maintain their levels now, you always need somebody to look after the program. And what I've seen over the last few years is people have eliminated positions such as mine, and they've turned the ropes over to the agency, basically, with somebody kind of minding the agency. But agencies are great partners, and they do a lot of magnificent things. But what their ultimate goal and yours are different. Yeah. So they typically help you overall, but there's going to be times where your best interest might not be in their mind. Mm-hmm. So things are definitely changing. I mean, as the airlines continue to charge more fees, everybody else continues to charge more fees. Hotels are charging more fees. Car rentals are charging more fees. If not fees, they're charging taxes, or somebody else is charging taxes on those people, those costs. And it is taking travel to a certain degree and making it more commoditized. There'll be a lot more use of technology. I think that's already happening now. I think technology will get better. I personally don't think travel will go back to what it was, because I think it's a new economy, and things are fundamentally changing how people do business. Many more things will be bought online. Information will be sought out online.
So what do you think some of the benefits of BAPTA has been to you in your career and in BTA, and how's that helped you? And
I think it's helped me tremendously. The networking and getting to know the suppliers in BAPTA, you get to know them locally, and so when I'm doing RFPs, or I need some rooms for some special little small group that's in town, it's so much easier to work with somebody because you trust them and they can help you out with those types of situations. I've always been a supporter of BAPTA, and so I like to support the suppliers who support BAPTA. So that takes care of my local neighborhood. MBTA allows me to expand that to national and international. I can meet other people from other areas, other countries, that may help me in some way in how I do business there.
Anything else? Any last words?
Support your local chapter.
Support your local chapter.
In fact.